continuing on past verse 1, I will harden Pharaoh's heart. Now, we've discussed this before, but what I ended up doing is I went through and just did a search for every time the word heart is mentioned in Exodus, and then only jotted down the references associated to Pharaoh's heart, either being hardened by God, by Pharaoh, or the heart itself. And I'm just going to go through these. I'm going to put them up on the side for those that are watching. So Exodus 4:21 is the first mention. God says he will harden Pharaoh's heart. This is future. He's saying, in the future, I will harden Pharaoh's heart. 7:3 is the same thing. God says that in the future, I will harden his heart. It's in the future that this will happen. 7:13, we're going to see Pharaoh's heart became hard. Now, it doesn't say whether that was influenced by God or by Pharaoh himself, but it's the heart itself that became rigid and hard. And then we're going to see this 7:14, we're going to see it again, where Pharaoh's heart was unyielding. Then 7:22, we're going to see Pharaoh's heart became hard. 8:15, Pharaoh will harden his own heart. 8:32, Pharaoh will harden his heart again. 8:19, I skipped. Pharaoh's heart was hard. 9:7, Pharaoh's heart was unyielding. 9:12. Exodus chapter 9 is the first time that God actually follows through on this promise that he will harden Pharaoh's heart. And this is where you see kind of a change. 9:12, God will intervene and harden Pharaoh's heart. 9:35 is simply a statement that Pharaoh's heart was hard. And then in chapter 10, we have verse 1, verse 20, verse 27, chapter 11, verse 10. All four, 1, 2, 3, 4, all four of those instances are God intervening, stepping in and hardening Pharaoh's heart. 14:4, God will, future tense, harden his heart. And then 14:8, God hardened Pharaoh's heart. So in all of this, at the beginning, it is Pharaoh himself that hardens his own heart, or his heart hardens itself, is the idea. So I know going through this, when you first look at that, it's almost like, well, who can then stand a chance? Because if God's going to intervene and force us to either believe or not believe, harden someone's heart, did Pharaoh have a choice in that matter? Yeah, absolutely had a choice in that matter. But God wanted to make sure that the extent of what he had planned was able to play out. Pharaoh's a puppet. Now, at the beginning, Pharaoh hardens his own heart. And the idea here, the simple explanation that I can give of a great illustration, politics. Politics. There are individuals in the Republican side, friends that I have that are Republicans, that cannot hear a word that a Democrat says without interpreting it to be negative. It's impossible. They can't. Their hearts are hard to anything that a person that is a Democrat or has liberal point of views says. They just can't hear it. Their heart is hard. And it goes the opposite way as well. I was sitting eating lunch as I was reading at a cafe, and I heard a conversation of women that were just sitting there talking. And their hearts were so hard against any conservative perspective at all. In their minds, the conservatives are trying to destroy the country. Their hearts are hardened. In the same way, a brilliant illustration is a toddler, a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old who is adamant that toy is theirs. They've stolen their toy from their brother, and now they possess it. It is theirs. Their heart is hardened that it is theirs. They will not give it up. They're screaming at the top of their lungs, having a temper tantrum. You know, it's ironic. Those two comparisons are pretty similar in some instances. Now, in the floor of the Senate, you don't necessarily see temper tantrums. Yeah, you do. You don't see them lying on the ground screaming, but you see pretty close to that. That illustration. That's a funny commentary on politicians. Okay, so continuing on, verse 5.